Greetings. So, welcome. I wanted to do an episode on my gardening tips. And today I'm going to repot a succulent plant. And as you can see, um, I have here a potted plant that didn't survive. And I always call myself the plant resurrector because I can resurrect most plants if necessary. But it's like my little inside joke here. However, I have some cuttings that I saved from a succulent and going to repot them in this planter here. So let's get started. Actually, I want to, it's on a hanging basket. So while we're sitting here as we speak, I'm going to take this apart. There we go. You know what? I might as well take this apart too. I could always put this back on later. Maybe I'll put pictures in the thumbnail and make this a hanging plant. We'll just tray. So as you see here, I have this. I'm plucking out all the dead viney type of roots and leaves that are no longer usable. As you can see, the soil is still good quality. Succulents are part of the cactus family. They're like in that range, and they're easy to maintain if you live in a really hot climate, like a desert climate. If you even live in a seasonal climate, as long as you keep the room warm, they'll survive. And they don't require that much water. Just a little bit of water. They require less water than most other plants. And that's because they hold and absorb water once they receive it. So I'm going to show you the different cuttings that I got. And this one here. So I'm going to keep this one because this one is still good. And it's the survivor out of this. But what I'm going to do is, oops, snapped off. Okay. But you can also cut it. The tools I have is like a rake. This is an old fork I never use, but it just serves its purpose as a garden rake, and a spade. Preferably a smaller one because the pot is smaller, but I utilize what I have. Now, cuttings can be taken from a bigger plant. So let's say this one probably came from a really full bloom plant. You cut it at a certain spot. You allow this root to dry, which they call callus, for several days, like 5 to 7 days, and then it's ready for planting. Otherwise, if you don't have 5 to 7 days and you want to plant it right away, you can use something like a rooting powder. Rooting powder is good. You just dip the end. So I'll show you on this one. So if you have a fresh cutting, and this works for all, not just succulents. This works for all cuttings you're trying to propagate. And you would just dip it. That's how you would use the rooting powder. Some people also use honey, and some people use cinnamon as well. It's your choice, what works for you. Now, propagation is actually basically getting a cutting and propagating a new leaf into a new bloom, a new plant. As you can see, you have some of those that look like that. I have some here where some people cut them and they leave them in the dirt. Let's say this didn't have this vine in here. They would leave it in the dirt and let it grow. Others will just put them on paper towel. As you can see, some of these may make it, some of them may not. But usually at the end, they'll callus up and make a little bloom. As you can see, this one is shriveling up, so that means that a bloom will soon surely happen. Once that bloom appears, you could plant in there as well. And here's a baby bloom right there. It's cute. So let's get to planting. Now, what I'm going to do is take this soil pot and just kind of lightly around it. Just kind of rake it. Just to kind of dig up whatever's not there. Stir it up, as they say. Make sure the soil ingredients are still good. I see we got a little piece of root here. So I'm going to use that. I'll keep it in there. It's like compost. Now, some people with succulents and cactus, perlite, and some other plants, perlite is very good. Perlite is what you see here, these little white, small like stones. They help the soil drain better. So when you water it, it doesn't absorb as much water in the soil, which gives it less root rotting. Now, if you don't have perlite, and you can get perlite at your local gardening store, Home Depot even sells it. You can also use sand. Here I just got some regular sand. You can get that at the gardening store as well. They have it, or go Dollar Tree or 99-cent store, and you could put sand in the mixture. It does the same thing as perlite, the old-fashioned way. Next, see if you can see the camera. What I'm going to do is put little miniature holes in here and just start planting. And excuse me, I don't have a speed up camera. So let's just do this the old fashioned way. So I'm going to arrange it like this. So let's see. Let's put it in here. Actually, your finger would probably be better just to dig a hole in it. Let's see. I don't. Use what you got. So. Covering up the dirt. Digging the hole. You could dig it deep enough too. Make sure that, like these, you could dig a deeper up hole so it could sit in, not fall out. And what I'm going to do next is cover the soil up. And you can put more soil over it as well, which I may do. Okay, so see how it's looking so far? Okay. So I'm just going to lightly go around until I get some type of design arrangement that I desire or you desire. Okay. This one here, I'm going to put this one right there. Cover it with the soil, as you can see. Now, right now, you're probably looking like, what is this? This is not looking pleasing, aesthetic pleasing. But at this point, that's not really what we're aiming for, unless you had bigger leaves, bigger plants. I'm going to put this one here in the middle because this one's going to grow and take bloom, and it looks better in the middle. So what I'm going to do now is cover that area with the remaining soil, as you can see. Actually, no, I'm going to move this little flower over here. And you can play around with it too. That's the cool thing about it. You can play around with these. Okay. So as you can see here, you're probably like, what the heck? And it may look like it's going to fall apart. What happens eventually was the soil, the water absorbs in. This plant will start growing. I'm going to show you an example of one I did that looked just like this. And after a few weeks, it took a form of its own. So now what you want to do is grab some water. I got this real quick. So I'm just going to go around. And this is a good watering. So I don't probably have to rewater this until, I'll check every few days for now. But you really don't have to water them like every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, depending on your climate. Now, as you can see, this is the plant here. I'm going to attach this back up later as a hanging basket style. But I want to show you an example of one I did last week and how it's looking now. And I use different leaves, but as you can see, this one's still trying to set, but the other ones have set already. So I'll just do it like this. There you go. So I have the cactus here. I have the other succulents. This is part of it's part of the family of a jade plant, which is really, in some places in feng shui is considered good luck. And these leaves, these succulent leaves as well. They have taken root. The root has absorbed into the soil. So now I have a pretty pot to work with. Excuse the broken pot. I re-glued it back together and I recycled it. This is going to look like this eventually, and I'll provide updated pictures in the meantime. But yeah, I just wanted to give you a quick tutorial on how to create a succulent pot. You've probably seen them at the supermarkets and you're like, oh, these are so cute, these are creative, and they sell them for like $15 up to $20 depending on where you're at. And here, teaching you how you can make your own. And a lot of times you can find these plants. I know that at our local stores, you can find a lot of these for 99 cents. And then, bam, you got it all in there. And you just plant them. So, anyhow, hope you enjoy. If you have questions, please provide questions, comments in the comment section. I will definitely try to get to all the comments. And I appreciate and thank you all for commenting and watching the video. Until then, you take care.